This program is brought to you by Tab. Download the app today.
I'm Caroline Searcy. Welcome to Thoroughbreds Are Go as we bring you one of the biggest thoroughbred shows Australia has seen as Thoroughbred Sport Horse Australia holds its inaugural national championships. Plus Racing SA helping horses and humans at Lincoln Park in South Australia. And Kate Blay with a great story of thoroughbred love from the racetrack and beyond in Arrowfield Studs Strapper Stories. That's all coming up on Thoroughbreds Are Go. Chrissy Harris and her Thoroughbred Sport Horse Association have done a wonderful job organising thoroughbred shows around Australia. Their inaugural national championships here at Stonewall in New South Wales have drawn together a huge number of sponsors with great prize money for the competitors and some wonderful stories coming out of the weekend. Congratulations, what an incredible weekend it is here at Thoroughbred Sport Horse Association National Championships. Can you believe it's all come together so well?
I'm just absolutely gobsmacked at the help and the support and everybody pulling together to make this happen. You know, the helpers, the sponsors, the racing industry and the competitors. Couldn't be happier. Yeah,
well, we've just seen an incredible 6-bar, wound up at a metre 75, and Charlie Richardson, he's a super talent, isn't he? He's only a young fellow, the son of Blair and Nikki Richardson, and he was just sensational, but so were all the other riders.
It was an absolutely fabulous, fabulous class. 36 started, and I think we had one only tiny fall. Rider made a bad decision. That happens in any part of the world. And the rest of it was unbelievable. For Charlie at such a young age to have such a feel for horses is just, it's just what this is all about. You know, he's too big to be a jockey. He might want to break in like Dad in later years, but this is his competition field and he's on a thoroughbred.
Maverick, I mean, what a wonderful thoroughbred too. In fact, to see all of these thoroughbreds in this particular class jumping so high and so cleanly, it just shows an incredible talent and the athleticism of the breed.
Well, the little horse that came second, Emily Patterson, 20 years of age. Now, how fantastic is that? He's fit, he's well, just jumped his little heart out, only touched the last rail, and he's been in our game for the last, I don't know, 15 years.
10A. Here we go, Michaela, to the last. Clear, well done.
And it was so great, Thoroughbreds Are Go. We really enjoyed sponsoring some of the dressage classes. It was fantastic to see some of those competitors. And then also here in the first class of the morning too, a sensational result with just such, again, clean jumping and so much excitement amongst the competitors and the onlookers.
Well, I think it was a day for the young people today because Michaela Fenwick won your Thoroughbreds Are Go class. And she did it in fine style. She was 5 seconds in front of the field.
It was quite spectacular. And then, of course, your other big sponsors. I mean, John Singleton, Strawberry Hill Stud has been phenomenal for this. But there are so many others as well. Peachester Lodge, the Huddies. Of course, we see Frank and Christine Cook, Mystery Downs. Roderick Lodge, they've been great supporters for a long time. You know, the Gay Waterhouse fence, the Snowden fence. The list goes on. You've done a great job bringing them all together.
Thank you very much. But look, I think it's the racing industry as a collective that is really trying to help us do the right thing. You know, as competitors, we're all loving it. And I just think it's fantastic. It's a great collaboration between the sport horse industry and the racing industry.
And the level of the elite competitors back riding thoroughbreds, well, people like Shane Rose, he's obviously ridden thoroughbreds for a long time, but, you know, Olympians such as Shane, Vicky Roycroft, we saw Shanae Lowings just coming back from Italy in the World Championships. This is an elite event.
Very much so. And hopefully they'll pick it up in other areas of the world, because I would really love now to throw down the gauntlet to England and to America to say our thoroughbreds have just jumped 175, guys. Bring it on, see if you can be better than us.
Yeah, and some fantastic results too. We've seen, you know, the teams events that you've set up here as well. We've seen, you know, whether it be Inglis, Godolphin, the BreedNet team. We focused on some of the young girls that were riding as well over the weekend. And it's so exciting to see them, you know, they're actually developing their thoroughbreds. These aren't horses that are tried horses that have done all this for years. They're actually starting out with new young thoroughbreds and they're having a ball.
Look, they're having an absolutely fabulous time and they're doing a really good job. You know, they're young, they're athletic, they take direction really, really well. And I think, you know, between Craig and Tara from BreedNet, you know, Craig and Tara, well, Tara especially, knows a hell of a lot about starting horses. And she was the one that put her hand in the air and said, okay, BreedNet is going to sponsor the maiden teams. And that, you know, helps our older horses and it also helps our younger riders. So I think between all of us, between all these guys sponsoring teams, you know, Thoroughbred New South Wales has a maidens team, and it's just fantastic that we've got two levels of teams. So we've got the up and coming, the intro level, and then on Sunday, bring it on for the Racing Teams Challenge.
Recruiting to wins, coming home strongly now. It's Recruiting to Win coming after Foxy Free.
My boss had messaged my mum about him and had said I have a horse if Lily wants to have a try at retraining him, and we said yes, and he's been really good to bring along and he's fun, so it's been amazing.
And you're actually doing the work with him. It's not as if you've taken on a horse someone else has trained. Tell me what, you know, the development. I mean, there's a lot of work you have to do, isn't there?
Yeah, the start was really hard, but he taught me so much, and I think it's been helping with my riding on pit crew as well. So it's hard, but it's worth it in the end, seeing the progress and seeing how it all turns out in the end. So.
They're obviously very intelligent, aren't they? But how would you describe him when you're riding him? Is he, you know, a good mover? Is he listening to you? What are his attributes?
He's a good little young one. He listens to what he's told, does what he's asked. He has a few times where he overjumps stuff and sends me a bit forward, but yeah, he's been pretty good to bring along and ride.
The whole of Stonewall's fantastic, but the new stables and everything, it really makes it a lot better for you as a competitor, doesn't it?
Yes, it's amazing. Such a good facility around here for the horses.
What you're doing with him now, the training, it's going to be an advantage not only to him in his future, but also to whoever takes him on next.
Yes, definitely, because I have 2 more young ones that I'm bringing along, so it'll help a lot with them as well. And yeah, hopefully he gets a good little next owner.
I was on smaller ponies or kind of Galloways, and they were really good to build up confidence and have fun while I was younger and go a bit faster. But now I've moved on to my Thoroughbred Mudgee Road and slowing things down and getting more consistent. And so yeah, I've had Mudgee for a year now, and he's my first Thoroughbred.
What do you find when you're riding him? What's he like?
He's really beautiful to ride. He's got a lovely, willing temperament, and it's very different to I feel my previous ponies and smaller horses. I feel like it's easier to bond with him and get a bit more understanding with him, and he listens to however I'm, what mood I'm in, he'll go off that, and yeah, I think it's really good. I'm very appreciative of everything, and I'm really excited to represent the team, BreedNet, and yeah, give it our best shot. I would love to keep on pursuing a road with thoroughbreds. I think it would be a really great opportunity, and it's great for the thoroughbreds as well to retrain them and give them a second chance.
We've just seen you do a round on Soloway, and it's really exciting to see these thoroughbreds out here competing. There are so many that people are really training to a very high class level.
Yeah, it's so amazing to see them out and about, and you know, I've fallen in love with the thoroughbreds really, and my last horse, he was an amazing thoroughbred who competed in the high juniors, and I don't know, he helped me fall in love with them.
you know, riding a mare, some people are, you know, a bit hesitant about that. How do you find your girl?
Well, I got her as a 3-year-old and she is a bit tricky. She can be a bit quirky, but honestly, she just gives it her all, and I think that's the spice that the mares have. They just always try their heart out and love their job. With my thoroughbreds, they've always been amazing horses to me. Like, they have amazing personalities on and off, like around the stables, and you know, I just know that they'll always try their hardest.
Now then, here's an interesting combination. Jeff Penzer and Bojang, very passionate about his show jumping.
And I just love as well the crossover of the racing and breeding world. You know, you see a Jeff Penzer and Michelle, Kathy O'Hara, Charlie Duckworth, Rachel King, Rachel Murray, Ray Louise from Fernrig. She was on a young Sebring horse and only 5 weeks after having a baby. But that crossover is so important, isn't it?
Oh, look, I think it is, and I'm absolutely loving it. And there's going to be a crossover back again, because a lot of these young kids, like especially the kids from the BreedNet team, they're the kids that are going to go and work in the racing industry. So I think in a funny way, we are giving back to the racing industry well-trained equestrians.
It really does signify the work you've done here and across the board with Thoroughbred Sport Horse. You know, a real changing of the guard of these thoroughbreds being seen now. You know, they're getting out, they're competing, they're getting sort of experience. So they can go on to more elite events, you know, as well. So the changing of the guard, you know, from the warm blood days back to the thoroughbreds, it's just getting stronger and stronger.
100%. I think we are really nailing it. And you know what I've found doing this Australian Championship, we have competitors from Perth and competitors from South Australia, from Queensland and New South Wales. So it's a national championships and we've got national people. And I think what I would really like to push is that welfare is actually a national problem. Welfare should not have a border. It should be a national problem and a national sort of approach to fixing it. And what I'd really love to see is Racing Australia at the helm of welfare for Australian thoroughbreds.
I mean, every state, I guess, has to raise money in its own way, and that's just the way, being government bodies, a lot of the PRAs, how they operate. But you're absolutely right. It shouldn't be too hard to work together and find the best models for what is going to work of all the rehoming programs around Australia.
I think you've hit the nail on the head, because what we do need to do, you know, you have a beautiful horse that might be bred in New South Wales. It gets sold at the Magic Millions in Queensland, gets broken in up there, then it goes to race in Victoria. It's not quite fast enough, it moves across to South Australia, and then it gets sold. So now who's responsible for it? It's been 3 or 4 states of our country. And those are the horses that slip through the cracks when we have a state-based welfare system. So if we had a national-based welfare system, you know, sure, the money raised in each state should stay in each state as far as I'm concerned, but with a national approach, I think we're going to nail this thing.
So looking ahead, now you've had this first successful national championships, what are the plans for, you know, in the next 12 months?
Well, the next 12 months, I think the next one, we had to put an extra dressage arena on. Diwali Dressage Arena divided into 2 because they did such a good job, the dressage people. So I would like to see a whole day of dressage, a whole day of show horse, and then jumping. So I think it's going to be a 5-day championship next year.
It's not only heartwarming, but incredibly important for the racing and breeding industry to see the great work Chrissy and Thoroughbred Sport Horse are doing to promote thoroughbreds off the track. Coming up after the break on Thoroughbreds Are Go, we head to South Australia and catch up with Claire Lindop and the team at Lincoln Park, helping horses and humans. Earlier this year, we featured a story with Claire Lindop and Racing SA, helping train up a new generation of staff for the racing industry. Here again, we see Claire with some off-track thoroughbreds working at Lincoln Park, not only helping the horses, but the humans as well.
Collars don't have to be super tight. They have to be sitting nicely behind his ears and sitting nicely here. Not super tight, not tight under his throat.
Well, Claire, it's great to have you on Thoroughbreds Are Go again, because it's so important seeing what's happening in different states around Australia and the work you're doing today out at Lincoln Park. Just explain a bit about the background of how this all came to be.
Well, thanks, Carolyn. So since I've been involved with Racing SA Careers, I've been getting some expressions of interest sent through to me with people with different backgrounds. So some people have had horses in the past when they were younger and haven't handled them for a little while. And some people have had no experience with horses at all. And I didn't want that to be a barrier from them wanting to get a job in racing. So for me, it was like, how do I take someone who has some skills, help them get a little bit more confidence in working with horses, refresh some skills, and then I can perhaps help them find a job in a racing stable. So the relationship with Lincoln Park with Racing SA was already existing with the equine welfare side of things. And so when I met Sonia Little, we decided to run a horse handling workshop using the retired racehorses to help skill these people and give them some training, and then I could transition them into finding a stable job. So it's also not just for people wanting a job. I found sometimes there's general people who go to the races or may have a share in a racehorse. They just want to know a little bit more about how to handle the racehorses, how to approach them, and just find a little bit more about racing in general.
So explain exactly what you were teaching these whether they be young riders or people keen to get in the industry. What were the things you were teaching them today?
So I've sort of based it on a Cert 2 in racing. So we're looking at the skills where how to approach a horse, how to put a head collar on a horse, how to lead the horse, tie them up safely, how to keep yourself safe around the horse, and read some of their body language as well. Basic grooming, picking their feet out, putting a rug on and off, those kind of things, handling a horse's legs, etc. And a role as a stable hand, the first thing you're doing is feeding them, watering them, checking their sound, taking their rug off, getting them out ready to be ridden or work for that morning. So I guess what I'm doing here is some basic skills so that if they did work within a racing stable, they have some of those foundation skills already up their sleeve, and they don't feel a bit lost when they first go into that the workplace environment. So for me, it's about people enjoying the horses and being more confident around the horse.
Even, I guess, some of these people that you might be training, they might have, done work with horses or had their own horses, but it's so good to get a refresher, and particularly with thoroughbreds, because they are so quick to react, and, it's a slightly different horse to probably what a lot of them are used to.
One of the great things about having people come to Lincoln Park is that we're actually using retired racehorses they know, so Celtic Rebel, Overexposure, some of these racehorses they've actually seen racing, and to show them that actually we do look after them in their next stage of their life, or that traceability where Racing SA has a bit more understanding of where the horses are going. And there's actually some horses here who've won a lot of prize money, as well as some who never won a race. So it's nice for them to sort of see that side of it as well. And working with those thoroughbreds here gives them some real-time experience. So when they go to work in a racing stable, they're more comfortable working with the thoroughbred horses.
Captain Punch, he got a length on Clever Tommy.
They're actually great horses, aren't they? I mean, Captain Punch we featured before on Thoroughbreds Are Go. He's 11 now by Captain Gerard. He had Kissing Spine, which is the same as Alligator Blood, who's come back and been a Group 1 winner. 113 himself, then Celtic Rebel, as you mentioned, by Dissident. He won once from 6 starts, and then you've got Overexposure, you mentioned, an 8-year-old by Rothsay, who had 5 wins from 21 and was a CS Hayes Stakes winner. So they're a real mix, aren't they, that Racing SA is sort of taking under their wing and using for this sort of training for the humans.
Yeah, it's really nice that some of the owners of those horses are still in touch with us here as well, and they like to know that those horses have ended up in a really good place and are actually being used in a really good, their working life's actually now different, but they're actually really helpful for training and also some other work that Sonia Little does here at Lincoln Park as well. So it's kind of nice that they're still helping the next generation of people who are going to be handling horses and working in horses. And you're right, Carol, in the sense that it doesn't really matter what prize money they've earned in the past, although I do like showcasing some of our higher earned horses here, because they're all starting this new equestrian life and level footing. And Captain Punch, as said, he's particularly good looking, and everyone loves getting him. He's got a glossy coat, and it's really nice to see him looking so well at his age. And he's going to continue on here doing some great work for us as part of the horse handling workshops.
Overexposure charging through the rail. Overexposure overhauling them.
Sonia, it's great to see some great thoroughbreds in action and training up a new generation of staff in the racing industry at Lincoln Park today with Claire Lindop. But tell me a little bit about Lincoln Park, because you're obviously not only training up, horses for new homes, but you also do a lot of work with humans.
Yes, so with our human side of things, we use our horses here at Lincoln Park to help with equine therapy. So teaching people horse behaviours and stuff like that, learning how to monitor their emotions and their energies. to work with the horses. Because they've got that slightly more sensitive nature, they're very quick to pick up people's emotions and can adapt to their handler as well. So if someone's feeling quite, say, depressed or anxious, quite often the horses will understand that and they will adapt to help that person.
I just reached out to Racing SA about an inquiry about track work riding, and then Claire obviously rang me and emailed me about it, and I just thought it was a good way to test the waters about it.
So what were you learning today? What was Claire teaching you?
Just about how to properly lead a horse and catch him, and about grooming and how to saddle and stuff. I knew some of it already, but it's just, some of the things were new as well. I would like to be a jockey, to work up to it as well. I've been kind of changing my mind a bit, but I'm going to test the waters and see how I feel about this.
And what is it about racing that makes you want to get involved?
Oh, I just like horses and I just love it.
Just put it through the baling twine.
And it's interesting, the horses you take on, you're actually taking on a lot of neglected horses, but it's really pleasing to hear that generally it seems that, they're coming from the equestrian world and they're not thoroughbreds.
No, so predominantly our thoroughbreds that come through come straight from the track, just simply retired. They're no longer racing, so they just need a stepping stone for the next part of their career.
So tell us, how does that work in with Racing SA, and how did the relationship sort of start up with Lincoln Park?
We were approached by John Cornell from Racing SA just to help with that next step. As you can imagine, coming off the track, they haven't experienced a lot of things, so here we try and desensitise them to things that they'll see more at Pony Club, going out on trail rides, stuff like that. Predominantly a lot come from school, they're looking for that next step after school, what they're going to do, but also other people that are just wanting a change in careers, or they may have an interest in horses. And this is a great stepping stone to get a feel of, one, how to handle a horse, and two, if it's something that they would like to pursue. Claire gives them that extra stepping stone. But also for the horses themselves, being handled by different people, and especially sometimes beginners, it's a good chance for us to see how they'll cope in other areas, say Pony Club or, trail riding, stuff like that. So the more people that handle them, maybe with not as much experience, the better for us to judge their temperament. Any of our ridden horses get snapped up straight away, generally going to the Pony Club all-rounder type homes. Some will go into just pleasure riding. We even have a couple out doing show jumping, so yeah, all across the equestrian board.
I do use these workshops as a little bit of a fact-finding mission. I find out where people's level are at with their skills and what interest they have of going further in racing. So I have helped already some students going into casual stable hand positions, and some of them have gone on to wanting to do a qualification as well, which is really helpful. And I guess for some of the riders, some of my people who I've trained want to look towards being riders, and I think the next step for there is to take them onto that track work riding course. So I feel like this is a really good stepping stone, the horse handling workshop. It can just be a fun day out for someone, but it also could be that first step into getting involved in racing. And not everyone knows how to actually apply for a job with a stable hand. And I also find working with the racehorse trainers, if I can speak to the racehorse trainers and recommend students for them and try and find the right fit, it's going to really help in their career pathway progression in racing. So I feel like this horse handling workshop is a really great stepping stone.
Well, you're a fantastic ambassador for Racing SA, and it really is great, obviously, as a small estate to see so much being done, not only training up, the new staff of the future, but also these thoroughbreds. It's great to see so much sort of time and money being invested into them in South Australia.
Thoroughcare SA has really gone from strength to strength since John Cornell's been working, promoting the use of the thoroughbreds in the equestrian world. We've seen it really grow. The shows that we have where it's for retired racehorses, and it's actually been interesting the correlation with training. So people who may have a retired racehorse now using as equestrian rider are getting interested about working in racing and actually using their passion and love for horses as a career. And that's something I'm really enjoy helping young people actually choose as a career pathway. And you never know where racing is going to take you. It can take you from the country area all the way up to competing in the top levels of racing in Australia and also around the world. If anyone is interested in doing a horse handling workshop, please look at the Racing SA website. There's expressions of interest form, and I'll certainly help you.
A great story there again, and thanks to Racing SA and Claire Lindop and the team at Lincoln Farm. Coming up after the break, Kate Blay on Arrowfield Studs Strappers Stories.
So I worked with Siege when he was with Todd Howlett Racing in Hunter Valley. They bought him on an online auction, and from the first day he arrived at the stable, I had dibs on him. I wanted to take him to all his races. I was lucky enough to ride him a bit of slow work and was just pretty obsessed with him and harassed his owners until he finally finished racing and I got to take him home.
Yeah, he's a good-looking boy, isn't he? He's by a sepoy out of a really good mare called Belong to Many. She won 4 stakes races and over $500,000. So he didn't quite reach those heights on the racetrack, but he's really learning and he really enjoys doing something, doing this dressage with you.
Oh, definitely. He's better when he's in work. When he's on a spell, he will like walk the fence. He needs attention. If you don't feed him first, if you're not cuddling him, everything, he lets you know about it. He's definitely like a people kind of horse, loves doing something.
And then the work you're doing with him with dressage, how much training are you giving him? How much work does he take to get out in the ring and perform and look beautiful?
Probably about 4 or 5 days a week, and I get a lot of help from my instructor, Prue Barrett. I definitely could not be here today without her. She's helped us sort him out. He's quite good at the dressage and finds the movements easy. It's just getting him used to the atmosphere and just getting him stronger and up the grades.
Yeah, and it's so great to see when you've cared for a horse in a racing stable, the love for that horse, it goes on, doesn't it?
Yeah, I probably would have hunted him down if he'd gone to another racing stable. Like, I just love him, even if he annoys me all the time. See, I told you he likes attention.
He does,
but no, I couldn't imagine not having him. Even on his bad days, he's still like the best boy.
That is Thoroughbreds Are Go for another week. Join me again for next week's show as we feature the way historic Australian sales company Inglis give back to the thoroughbred world, and Racing Victoria with more great ways to incentivise the take-up of thoroughbreds away from the track. That's next week. I'm Caroline CSC. I'll see you then.
This program is brought to you by Tab. Download the app today.